Hello everybody! Now some people tend to ask, how can the four Gospels in the New Testament be reliable when they were written over 60 years after Jesus died? And how can we know that we have all the right details and that the details were written correctly? Well, it's a very good question, but you really have to think about the times that the apostles were living in. Now in Acts chapter 5 verses 36 and 37, a Pharisee named Gamaliel addressed his fellow Pharisees and said, "Some time ago, Theudas rose up claiming to be somebody, and a group of about 400 men joined up with him. But he was killed, and all who followed him were dispersed and came to nothing. After this man, Judas of Galilee rose up in the days of the census and drew away some people after him. He too perished, and all that followed him were scattered." So think about it, guys. How could these men gather 400 followers? Now in those times they didn't have Facebook or Twitter, so how did they do it? Well, they did it orally. They stood in the street and they preached, and the people who heard them told their friends, and they told their friends, and that's how the message was spread. And it was exactly the same with the authors of the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. When Jesus died and rose to ascend to heaven, the apostles spent the next 50 years preaching and telling the people everything that Jesus had said and done. So writing back then wasn't how it is today. Today, if you want to spread a message, you would write a book, maybe put your thoughts on Twitter or Facebook, or even create a YouTube video like I'm doing now. But back then, the majority of people were illiterate. They couldn't read. So the best way to spread a message back in those times was to preach it out on the street where the crowds would gather around and take it all in. And also imagine if you were living back then. If you heard there was a man who was performing miracles and raising people from the dead, did you really just want to read about it? Or would you have preferred to hear it from the eyewitnesses themselves that actually saw it happen? Now I'm pretty sure you'd want to speak to the eyewitnesses themselves. Now finally, when the apostles did decide to write it all down, they had been preaching the story of Jesus Christ for over 50 years. So it's not just a case of, well, how can they remember every detail of what Jesus said or every details of what Jesus did? They could remember because they never forgot. They have been preaching about what Jesus had said and done for half a century. So they knew the details extremely well, and that's why I think the four Gospels can be a reliable source of exactly everything that Jesus said and did. God bless you all, my friends, and I pray you continue to study and live by the Word of God, so our Christ and our Savior can continue to bless your lives and build you up. Take care of yourselves, and goodbye. Catch you next time.